The role of humans in the development of any nation cannot be underestimated. In fact, people are the greatest resources of any nation because any investment on an employee could lead to greater profit for the organization. Even where the development and deployment of artificial intelligence is on the rise, human beings will remain the driving force in the invention of these assets. Now, with Nigeria being at its lowest in terms of unemployment, there is bound to be poor outcome from its people, which could then lead to economic loss. This is what we'll be talking about next. Now, joining me on Zoom from Abuja to discuss the importance of human capital development is the National Director, Center for Real Impact International, and a lecturer at Veritas University, Abuja, Dr. Tosin Olushola. It's nice to have you, Dr. Olushola.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, we often hear people say that human resources are the most important resources in any organization or in any platform, as the case may be. But when you look at what it takes to invest into that human development, not a lot is done from so many organizations that we see around. Why is it so when we have this knowledge? Dr. Lushola, are you there?
All right. Investment in human capital. Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Go ahead now. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Yes, responding to your question directly, investment in human capital, like you mentioned in your opening introduction, is critical to virtually every sector of the economy, be it education, infrastructure, job creation, leadership development. So it's critical for every production process. You know, the human component is the one that plays the critical role in determining the outcome. But when it comes to investing in human capital, you mentioned that we are at almost our lowest when it comes to human capital development as a country. Looking at our standing in terms of human development index ranking in 2016, we are at the low of about 152 out of 188 countries. But as of now, we have even sunk further to a position of about 161 out of about 189 countries. That shows you we are deteriorating. And this is far beyond just looking at job losses. We are looking at the absorptive capacity of the economy to be able to drive every productive process, whether it is adaptation of innovation, whether it is resilience, to major shocks that the global economy is currently facing. For instance, the Nigerian economy now is faced with tripartite shocks. You have, on the one hand, climate change, you have armed conflicts, you have COVID-19. The recovery process, the ability of the economy to thrive in the face of these very huge and seemingly permanent shocks would depend on how well the people are able to develop to be able to respond to some of the challenges that the economy is currently facing.
All right. Now, when we talk about investment in human capital, who should do the investment in the capital? We're talking about employees, people who are involved in working day to day in either government establishment or private sector and all of that. Should it be the individual himself working on himself to build capacity, or the organization should do that as a way of upgrading the standards?
All right. When it comes to the responsibility of investment in human capital, of course, the individual has a critical role, very significant one at that, to play in investing himself by building skill sets, in personal and self-development. But beyond just what investment human beings or individuals can garner on their own, organizations also have to prioritize, investing in people. In the 21st century work environment, the greatest assets that every organization pride themselves in having is the people. So an organization, a corporation, or even a country is as strong as the quality of the people that are driving that organization. So investment in human capital is not just an individual thing. Organizations must also prioritize as much as they give attention to investment in physical capital, building physical infrastructure. They should invest in people people as well. And nations also must create an environment that prioritizes investment in people. At the nationwide level, national transformation is driven by people. And that transformation investment, if you leave that investment to individuals alone, because of the fact that the return on investment in human capital is seemingly associated with some kind of delay. So if I'm going to be spending a lot of resources, acquiring education, new skills, the benefit of that investment I may not begin to gain in the shortest period, say within the next 2 to 5 years. So I might not be incentivized to invest that much as an individual, even though it is desirable. But then as a corporation or as a country, if you prioritize that, then you can create an environment that gives people the incentive, to make that investment, as well as providing, public infrastructure or investment framework that is channeled in the direction of human capital development. So to answer the individual, the corporation, as well as the country, as the nation as well.
All right. Now, we've seen the rise of artificial intelligence in parts of the world. And of course, these aspects of inventions are getting closer and closer to our daily lives, how we approach the work that we do and what we originally used to do. But how does the AI threaten the human component of the capital that we have?
All right. Yes, that's a very interesting, perspective. Artificial intelligence. Now, on the one hand, no matter how sophisticated the is, it will be driven by people. Somebody will be positioned, in programming, the artificial intelligence software or whatever it is that is the programming that drives that, technology that. Not taking away the fact that this is a very huge disruption. Destruction. That's a very huge disruption to the work environment as we know it. People are becoming more and more dispensable. I know you can do away with people and replace them with machines that are even much more efficient in carrying out left brain routine tasks. But the most sophisticated AI, sometimes may not necessarily be able to match develop to monitor, the different variables under different circumstances. Now, so the human brain is not a linear part. It's a very, very dynamic part that can respond to day-to-day challenges and decision making. Now, AIs may not be able to make those kind of decisions for you. So the of the population to respond now to the challenges posed by the seemingly replaceability of human beings with machines. Human beings are now prepared, how well their environment, and use artificial intelligence to further boost productive capacity without threatening jobs.
So we'll look at using AI. AI will always be a kind of a backup to the human capital component of work. All right, now let's get to the other issue. Now, let's come back home a little bit, Dr. Olusola. You see, we have often gotten the report of a lot of people relocating from Nigeria, young people. You ask an average, youth on the street, they want to get to somewhere in Canada or get to somewhere in Europe or United States or somewhere. They're even a lot even going to Brazil and then other parts of Africa like Rwanda and Kenya, Tanzania, and South Africa. Now, in the long run, what do you see? Because a lot of people are really embarking on these measures in droves. When we talk about the issue of the human capital that we need to be around, to concentrate and be involved in the process of driving that change that we see, that we want to see either in our economy or in our social or in our tech or whatever the thing is, what do you see going forward with this mass, this mass of people moving and relocating?
Well, this question basically reminds me of the Asha song, and nobody. This phenomenon, it's a potent threat, not just to our national survival and sustenance. Long-run effect of this will be very, very devastating if nothing is done about it. Now, not just the rate at which people are leaving the country is what it creates the panic for me, but what we should pay attention to, what should form the, fulcrum of this conversation is the quality. This is where the ebb where we're supposed to be leveraging our demographic dividend. Now, the best of us, the graduates, the engineers, the technocrats, the health workers that are already trained here, some of them with even public funds, leaving the country. So we are even unable to maintain our baseline level of human capital development. Talk more of even adding to that. So rather than gaining, we are losing. And when we begin to realize how devastating this is, I hope it will not be too late for us as a mind, the best people who are supposed to be contributing at the age where they are at their peak, when it comes to capacity to add value to the economy, are living in such a manner. If there is no deliberate policy mechanism to, stamp out or minimize this rate of exodus, as I would say it, of professionals out of the country to several countries of the world, then we are going to have the Nigerian National Development Plan for 2021-2025. When I look at the financial plan component of that plan, you require almost 348 trillion in terms of new financial injection to actualize that plan. What is worrying is the fact that we need about 86% of that financial injection is supposed to come from the private sector. And for the private sector to be able to muscle that amount of financial injection into the economy, then the environment must be that friendly. And what creates environment for injections of new capital, attraction of new investment into the economy? What's the capacity of the economy in terms of human capital development? What's the level of infrastructure development? What's the level lives and property? Now, what our position in all of this depend on how well or the capacity of the country in terms of the drivers who sustains productive institution or strong institution. It is still the people. So if the people who are supposed to serve as the backbone for the economic transformation are already leaving, then we have a major problem in our hands, certainly.
All right. We look forward to things changing and transforming for the country. Dr. Tosin Olushola, thank you very much for speaking to us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you so much for having me.